Happy belated International Women's Day. Welcome everybody to another exciting Transatlantic AI Exchange session. Today is March 9th, 2023. TAIX is a community of experts who are passionate about collaborating and sharing knowledge about innovative technologies, especially around artificial intelligence, which is obviously a hot topic these days. Collectively, we are creating and empowering an ecosystem to make meaningful connections and conduct business. So my name is Thomas Neubert, born and raised in Germany, and a longtime entrepreneur living here in Silicon Valley for over 31 years. I'm the founder of the Transatlantic AI Exchange and co-founder of the WOW DAO, the decentralized autonomous organization. Allow me to provide a quick overview of this Transatlantic AI initiative. So first, we want to thank our partners who are helping us to build this valuable network of by now over 8,000 members. For today's session, and special thanks goes to the German Entrepreneurship and Stanford University for working with us as co-organizers. At TAIX, we foster exchanges on AI targeting entrepreneurs and researchers, investors, corporations, and the SMB, or in Germany, we call it the Mittelstand, and governors building long-term partnerships, and focus on hands-on expertise like fundraising, customer engagements, go-to-market execution, and the SMB Mittelstand understanding the implementation of artificial intelligence. We are already having lined up a series of virtual, hybrid, and physical sessions for this entire year. Today is the second session of this series, and Hedy will share a little bit more details in a minute. All videos of today's session are accessible for free and available on our website under the event section. So please share with your colleagues, watch it again, and using AI tools for easier searching of the content. If you believe this event is of value to you and your network, we would greatly appreciate you can share and like us on our Transatlantic AI Exchange LinkedIn page. And a link to the LinkedIn will be put into the chat in a few minutes here. So we are excited to announce yet another experienced panel of expert speakers today and a unique moderator for the topic. I personally met Caroline Simard from Stanford last November when I was attending an executive leadership class at the Stanford Business School of Education. And Caroline and her partner at the time, they were leading a session about diversity in the workplace. And afterwards, we agreed to collaborate on a session in diversity on AI. So here we are. What you will hear today is a close collaboration amongst a group of us passionate about accelerating change for diversity in AI. With that in mind, I'm honored to welcome all these incredible women to our session today. And I'd like to welcome Hedy, our partner from German Entrepreneurship here in Palo Alto. So Hedy, please take it from here and enjoy the session, everybody.
Thank you so much, Thomas, and also a heart welcome from me from German Entrepreneurship. Welcome to the second session of our Remarkable Women in AI series. My name is Hedy Razavi, and I'm the managing partner for AI Competence Center at German Entrepreneurship, and I'm based here in Silicon Valley. At German Entrepreneurship, we enable entrepreneurs and innovators to successfully cross borders and take their inventions to new markets around the globe. Whether it's from Europe to the US, or from Japan to South America, or from Southeast Asia to Germany, we take high potential entrepreneurs on a fast-paced learning journey to understand, discover, and also access the various leading innovation hubs around the globe. At the AI Competence Center, our mission is to enable the adoption, expansion, and internationalization of AI technologies and products around the globe. One of our primary focus areas is to empower AI innovators of all genders and all backgrounds through a global ecosystem of AI experts. But we know when it comes to supporting women entrepreneurs and in tech and in AI, we have our work cut out for us. Women currently only hold 26.7% of roles, tech-related roles. While for the first time, women CEOs now run more than 10% of Fortune 500 companies. Unfortunately, the proportion of funds raised by women-only teams has dropped from 3% to 1% since 2018. Of course, International Women's Day is a day to celebrate women's achievements, raise awareness, and inspire everyone to take actions. And that's exactly what we are here to do today and with our Remarkable Women in AI series. We're very excited about our session today, and I'd like to actually take this opportunity to tell you a little bit about our third session coming up in May. This session will be our first hybrid event of the series, and it is hosted by AI Monday and in collaboration with She Transforms IT, that will take place in Berlin, Germany, as well as online. We are thrilled to have an incredible lineup of women in AI panelists for this event who will share their perspectives on gender parity in AI from the position of government and the public sector, the AI investors, AI startups, and of course, the AI tech industry. After the panel discussion, during the session, we'll switch to an engaging workshop session that's led by Sarah Needham, who's an experienced and certified executive advisor and leadership coach. She will guide us through an introspective journey to discover opportunities for taking actions, and we hope that you'll be able to join us in person in Berlin or online to be part of this exciting discussion. I know everyone is here today to hear from our esteemed panelists of the day. And so without further ado, it is my great pleasure to introduce our moderator, Dr. Caroline Simard, the Managing Director of the Stanford VMware Women's Leadership Innovation Lab. Caroline is passionate about building better workplaces for women through evidence-based solutions. And we are honored to have Caroline lead our last panel and can't wait for another engaging discussion today. So welcome, Caroline, and thank you so much for your continued support and dedication to this really important topic.
Thank you so much, Heidi. It's such an honor to be here today, and especially this week. International Women's Day was yesterday, and it's Women's History Month. It's also my birthday today, and I have to say this is a real gift that you're all giving me to have the opportunity to be in great thought leadership conversation with incredible women in AI. And as I think about International Women's Day and Women's History Month, I think of celebration. So elevating, celebrating, recognizing the incredible contributions of women to society. I also think of protesting the lack of progress, the slow progress that we're making towards gender equity in all spheres of society. So globally, the progress has been slow. It has been happening, but it has been incredibly slow. And unfortunately, the COVID-19 pandemic has created kind of a full generational setback of progress. The World Economic Forum shows that at the current pace, it will take 132 years to reach gender parity globally. And of course, this is based on several indicators. So it's not just participation in STEM, it's also access to education, healthcare, leadership opportunities, socioeconomic equality, so all sorts of indicators. And if you look at the World Economic Forum ranking, Germany at 9th place ranks noticeably better than the US, which is at number 27th. And so we have different policy environments when it comes to supporting gender equality. And so I think part of this forum is to really enable us to learn about what's working in different cultural contexts. What we do have in common, sadly, is a lack of participation of women in STEM, so in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics spaces, and especially in AI. We share very, very low numbers in common, as Heidi highlighted. And the reality behind those low numbers in participation is found in the persistent power of societal stereotypes, which shape really who enters and who persists and advances in specific fields. Unfortunately, we know that technology innovation, technology leadership is still very, very much stereotyped as a men's domain, and this really influences who enters, who persists, who advances in the field. And so you can't be what you can't see. And so really highlighting role models and successes of women pioneering these fields is incredibly important. And this is a problem not just for women and their participation and access to economic opportunity, but also for the AI industry as a whole and globally. We know from research that diversity of all kinds increases innovation when the problem is hard to solve. In other words, if you're tackling difficult and hard problems, people who are exactly the same and think the same and come from the same culture, the same schools, the same disciplines, will not think of the newest ideas, right? So you need people with very different experiences and perspectives to really innovate. And so by diversity in this context for innovation, I mean diversity of all kinds: gender identity, sexual orientation, culture, national origin, functional expertise, skill sets, the kind of discipline you come from. But it's not that simple. It's not add diversity and innovate magically. Organizations and teams really need to create the conditions for inclusion, which is create the conditions under which people can fully participate and contribute their ideas, right? So where people's different ideas and voices can be heard. And unfortunately, in many organizational contexts, this fails to happen, and we fail to capture the full potential of diversity for innovation. So today we really want to change this narrative and center the thought leadership of prominent women in AI, and also issue a call to action so we can keep engaging progress around gender equality and full participation of women in AI. I'm going to introduce you to 4 absolutely incredible panelists. They're truly exceptional, and I'm so excited to be hearing from all of them. So from Germany, we have Afsaneh Assai, who's head of AI at the Unterministerium. And I practiced pronouncing that before the session. So I'm sorry for you who are native German speakers ahead of time. And Afsaneh has more than 20 years of experience in applied AI. And so we're super excited to hear from her today. We also have Vanessa Kahn, who's the head of the German AI Association, KI Bundesverband, and she's passionate about driving innovation in the industry. So we're really excited to hear from her as well. And we'll hear about their backgrounds and journeys from themselves as well during the session. And from the US, we have Ria Shiruvu, who's AI ethics lead architect at Intel Corporation. And she is leading the productization of ethical and explainable AI technologies. Welcome, Ria. And finally, we have Rihan Mansour, who is Director of Engineering Document AI at Google, and also a former co-founder of an AI startup called Intelus AI. Welcome, everyone. I'm truly so excited to be in conversation with all of you. And the first question to all of you is really tell us what you do and how you got into AI and its leadership. Was there a defining moment, or was it the result of a career evolution? So I'm going to start with you, Vanessa.
Okay, well, first of all, it's great to be here and celebrating all of you strong women out there, and also protesting a bit that we have to work for free until the 8th of March. I think that's why the date is actually the 8th of March, right? So it's really, really, yeah, terrible that we're still at this point in 2023. And I think there's lots to discuss in the field of AI, how we can change this. Yeah, so how I got to where I am right now as managing director of the German AI Association was really full of surprises. I never planned on being where I am today, and I'm still very happy and also on some days surprised that I am where I am. Maybe we'll discuss that in a second too. I actually started out becoming a politician. So I had a very political CV. I started with 16 in like communal policy and wanted to change the status quo. And I think that's something I can really see throughout my CV. I was never really happy with the status quo. I wanted to have an impact with my life and wanted to change how things are done. After studying political policy, I went into a political interest organization. So actually they lobbied for the big organizations of the world, especially in the tech field. So I lobbied for companies like Google, Amazon, Microsoft, so name it, like the big tech companies out there. And I realized quite quickly that is not something that really fulfills me. It was really interesting finding a way to look behind the way politics is done on a European scale, and also on a German scale, but also in a way I felt very empty doing this, because I really need this why in my life. I need a reason and a way to really provide an impact and promote something like a bigger topic. So I started going to lots of conferences on AI in that time. It was 2017 when AI was actually becoming a more of a bigger societal and political topic in Germany. And I realized that actually what policy and also what society is debating is something very different to the actual practical life that all of our developers are leading. So I talked to lots of developers at that time and felt, okay, this is a real gap that we're discussing. These are real parallel universums in a way, and I wanted to bridge this gap. So I started at the Startup Association, lobbying for the interests of startups and finding out that startups are really impact driven, and it gave me a lot of purpose, and that's where I really stayed in now as the network for the 400 AI companies in our association. We're the biggest AI company network here in Germany, and are also building up the European AI Forum, which is basically the network for the voice of the European AI entrepreneurs in Europe, where of course a lot of the big policies made with the AI Act right now and Data Act, and that's how I came into the field of AI.
Thank you so much for sharing that. We often think of, disruption and what disruption looks like from a technical industry kind of point of view. And you're disrupting the whole policy environment, right? And not satisfied with the status quo, and really setting the stage for innovation. So thank you so much for sharing that. Riham, I'll go to you next. Tell us about your journey.
Yeah, so thanks, Caroline and Hedy and everyone here. It's an honor to be in this crowd and to be celebrating, especially like this week, celebrating the International Women's Day, as well as like the month of women history. So, I mean, we still have a bunch to celebrate, right, around women and gender diversity. Yes, there is a lot of more work that we need to do, but we should also wait and celebrate a little bit here. So what got me in AI? So I started as a computer scientist just by virtue of my undergraduate degree. Got into throughout my career, I got into 3 of the giant tech companies. I worked 10 years for IBM, 8 years at Microsoft, and recently joined Google. Along that journey, I went to grad school and did my PhD in AI. What got me into AI is I started at IBM as a distributed large-scale systems engineer. That was like fresh out of college. But then a few years down the road, AI was not a thing in the early 2000s yet, right? At least in the industry. But I got very curious about how machines can interpret human language, right? Like, why can we get machines to do systematic tasks and it cannot get creative? That was like a key question on my mind as I was working in IBM, like mostly on very, very large scale systems that can process like humongous amount of data. So I decided to go to grad school, which was kind of an interesting step, because I left a very, very stable job where I was like on a good trajectory for my career, but curiosity pushed me there. So I started my work on AI, got very interested about natural language processing, got more in depth in that. And then when I finished, I joined Microsoft Research, and over there, all the good things started happening, right? When women, or I mean, anybody is in the right community, good things happen, right? All this ideas around virtual assistants. I built the very first virtual assistant that Microsoft shipped, and I participated in lots of those new evolutions back in maybe 2012, 2013. That was still early days of AI. But then along that journey, I decided to found a startup. It was like kind of one of the things on my bucket list as well. And at Google, I'm still on the same trajectory of doing AI. So it's a combination of me being very curious, as well as like my career trajectory and evolution.
Thank you so much, Riyam, for that. I love the theme of curiosity as being a driver for kind of keeping pushing and advancing and enjoying the process of discovery. Thank you so much for that. Ria, what about you?
Sure, and it's so awesome to be here with this entire crowd. I think just as Riham and Vanessa and Caroline, you've mentioned as well, a lot to celebrate, a lot to be done. I love what Riham just mentioned as well with regards to a community of women that's empowering you, because that is exactly how it's been for my journey. So I'm very proud and grateful to be able to say that that community is exactly what inspired me to get into AI. So currently, when I joined Intel, I was Intel's youngest employee. I first kind of joined as an intern when I was about 14 or so. By that time, I had completed my bachelor's degree initially in computer science, and I had a general direction of where I wanted to go. So I thought, okay, there's a lot of different domains out there. Computer science is definitely a very interesting domain to be able to get into. AI is one of those things where you can, take the basis of what you're doing and build on top of that. So I had some general ideas around niche domains, but I think after joining Intel, I got exposed to an even broader network of mentors and peers, people who were challenging me to think differently, to start thinking more about leadership skills, things that make an impact back to our company and the industry as well. And at that time, I interestingly took a little bit of a step and went ahead and did a master's in data science. And that's when I kind of fell into my passion of, okay, with AI and computer science, we're looking at many times very practical, practitioner-focused application of techniques, and it's all very glossy use cases, and it's very easy to get hyped up. But I think with the encouragement of my community, that's what led me to looking into data science further, getting back to the fundamentals of how we mine data, how we build up these pipelines. And throughout that process, that's how I fell in love with AI ethics. I'd have professors and teachers that would encourage me to go further in projects and say, okay, just beyond what you have currently, can you find ways to structure that problem statement differently, or ways ways that you can start to create pipelines that are more efficient. And I think those many challenges built up to being able to say, how do we scale these types of solutions that we're seeing and that we're encouraged to do as beginner data scientists and intermediate data scientists to advance workflows? And then how do we get that information back to the upcoming data science and AI community? And I feel like, to me, that's really what responsible AI and AI ethics is really about, which is, being able to establish these key guidelines, governance, and guardrails, something that we are all, or most of us are invested in being able to establish that and make it reproducible, so we're able to continue to enforce that. So I would say that's kind of what I see in my current domain that I'm very excited about. And again, something that was a result of the community, my parents, specifically my mother, who's my greatest woman role model, because she continuously challenges me to think outside of the box. So yeah, I think it's definitely, community is amazing for a woman's growth from what I found and what I'm learning.
Thank you so much. And the future is really bright, thinking about all the voices that you guys are bringing to the forefront. I think, especially when we read the narrative in the newspapers and everything about all the doom and gloom, I wish, we can continue to capture this energy, this quest for positive impact of technology. And I love the theme of community. I hope that this forum of German entrepreneurship and TAICS can really continue building the community of women leaders in AI. What about you, Effie? Tell us about your journey.
It's so amazing listening to the panel, how has been their journey, and so inspiring. I could really see myself in many parts of the journey also overlapping. How I started, I would say, like, a shaping moment was some really loving moments that I've been having with my grandma's mom. They were always telling me nice stories of their life. And then I started growing sort of a contrast into how life has been in the past and how through the technology is different. And therefore inside of me a fire grew of, it was a fire of curiosity and sort of a Cinderella waiting for a moment. I am going to bring lots of technology and make the life even better in many other ways. I've been like waiting for it and always dreaming for it. And as I was in and I even had in this school like a nickname of an innovator, crazy thingy. And then I always had this vision or this passion that I would love to become an innovator. And thanks to the circle of the family and the friends, I found my way towards computer engineering, doing some work on AI. And then indeed, the curiosity was leading me, the passion leading me, and so much, I would say, that amazing people around me, amazing women. So I remember a day that my director told me she was a really strong lady in leadership of a position back. I was in Iran working, and told me, hey, I'm going to Switzerland. I want you to come with me and do something for yourself. Okay, I do. So she, I just this strength and the power she brought, and that I could also do something. And then it was a turning moment in my career. I started 2008 in Switzerland, working on my education, working also on other projects with big corporates, SMEs, and startups around us. And slowly it was more and more becoming clear to me that I'm really growing into where my heart is, and somehow it's supposed to be the way of my life. So as in your question was formulated sort of evolutionary, it's like for me, both of them, that it starts a moment you start seeing younger people around yourself and you see, wow, I'm so good for them. And I'm so thankful of having really this opportunity that today I'm in the role of head of AI at Digital Product School, really working every moment with the team, guiding them on their challenges. Even yesterday was a day of celebration. I didn't take a second off because many of my students were struggling. I'm there for them and really doing the very best in also bringing this mentorship to the new generation, the way that they are future makers. And yeah, it's bad things happen when good people do not do anything about this. I see also the areas of ethics that especially we are in the role of entrepreneurship and innovation. And together with a secondary team of AI Makerspace, we always observe how we can bring into products that are really human-centric and also bring awareness into the topics of the user experience of it and making sure that it is a responsible AI and serving for the best.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And it's incredible to sense as well the joy that all of you are really transmitting. And I think I would love for you to reflect on if you could give yourself advice. So if there's like a core lesson learned from your career so far, what would you say that is? And so for me, when I think about what I wish I knew, as a woman in my career, I think about the time where I was a PhD student and also had a baby. And I wish I could tell myself that the constant message that I should feel guilty for not being full-time, either full-time at home raising a child or full-time working more and more and more, that guilt would not serve me well as an emotion. So I wish I could take my younger self and say, let go of guilt. It's not going to serve you well. It's not you, it's society, and it's going to hold you down. So what would those kind of insights and lessons be for you? And Riham, I'm going to start with you.
Okay. So it's not per se, I share the same sense of guilt because I was in my 20s, I had 2 kids and I was pursuing my PhD, and that was really a tough journey. One of them was a newborn, and I had a lot of sense of guilt at the time, both at my work and for the kids, right? I wanted to be a better mom. I wanted to be a better PhD student. And reality is, after like I finished many of these stages and kids are old now, I feel like I've done a great job, and I should just be proud of what I did, and I shouldn't have felt the guilt, right? So that is on the reflection point. But I think there are a few lessons that I learned over time, and I've executed on some of those already as I learned them from people around me, or I got to learn them just by the virtue of situations happening to me or around me, right? So one thing that I learned that is a very, very strong tool is don't take no as an answer, right? If you find people around you saying no about something you want, like it might be because of society or bringing you down or stereotypes made about you, and especially being like a strong diversity in AI at the time. I was in rooms where like I'm the only woman in the room with 20 men, right? And many of them are even in higher positions than I am and have more experience and so forth. I think if I want something, I would keep knocking the door. I shouldn't take no as an answer. And if one door closes, the other door will open, or even more doors will open. And people would respect that over time. You will get what you want if you insist on getting it, right? Do everything you want or you can do, and you will get support. Good people exist in the world. You will get support. So that is a key lesson that I learned over my journey. The other one is it's very important like to break the stereotyping that people have, right? And big part of that is we owe it to ourselves as human beings and as women to kind of seek impact. Seek impact is a key word, right? So if you really seek impact, what you would do is a bunch of steps that would get you to get the impact, right? And along that journey, basically, you're learning new things, you're building convictions, you're earning respect of people because of those convictions that are very informed convictions that you build. And as you do a bunch of those steps, you really get to earn respect from people, and you break some stereotypes for yourself and for other people who are coming after you, right? And in that case, like, you really need to believe in yourself, being a role model to others. Like, you can change the world. We can change the world. So if as we make progress, I think we earn more confidence in ourselves, that we can really change the world, but I think seeking impact, being the target of every day, right? Like I get up every morning looking at, is my job helping me? Is what I'm doing in activities day to day just a set of activities, or is it like towards making impact? What kind of impact? Are we changing the world? Are we part of a team that is changing the world? I think asking these questions all the time, keeping it top of mind, with taking no as an answer. No, don't take no as an answer along that journey. I think those two things have been like key lessons and tools that I've learned from people around me, and I'm trying to like help people around me as well learning these tools.
It's so powerful. And to pick up on a couple of things you said, one is the intentionality that you're putting into how you're showing up, right, at work, and like, am I working on what most matters, which ultimately can also fuel your persistence because if you're far from the impact you wish to have in the world, it can become very, very tough to be the only woman in the room, right? Yeah. And the other thing that I love that you mentioned is that collecting no's, essentially, like not taking no for an answer. But I once had advice from somebody who said, if the door is getting slammed in your face a lot, you're at the right doors, right? Essentially, so that I learned to celebrate the number of times I was hearing no as a sign that I was pushing. And so maybe we can think about the right metrics for that, right? You say, okay, it's a no today, but I'm gonna keep at it. And the power of breaking stereotypes, all of us have a responsibility to break stereotypes. And by the way, the research shows that even increasing gender diversity in STEM, women who break stereotypes have a huge role to play, obviously, but men who break stereotypes as well. So the research showed that even showcasing men who, for example, are not drinking Red Bull, programming 24/7 in a dark room, like having this super nerdy stereotype, they do increase interest and participation across gender, across race, across cultures. So all of us need to step up to the plate in breaking these stereotypes. Thank you so much, Riham. I'm going to go to you, Afi. What about your lessons learned?
Well, when I look back, a lot of strong ties have shaped my life. Really amazing people who came into my life and really I put trust in me, helped me a lot and empowered me. And something that I would give myself advice is also, please take care of your weak ties. The people that are always in your network, your community. It's just a small talk. It's a little coffee chat together. As the curiosity needs also its room to explore the role of those weak ties, where indeed I can look that based on the strong ties, it's sometimes a laser cuts narrow look into here is I'm going now, Afi, do your best. But that room, the openness and the exploration that through the weak ties, a lot of things that are around us could bring us a new way, a new perspective. Indeed, it's something I see today. For example, I really know it's been there for like ever, but I've been kind of blind to it. And therefore, I would certainly take care more of the weak ties and my community and network.
What a great lesson learned. Often, we get heads down and doing the work and obviously building strategic networks, which often lies in these weak ties, is what opens up a lot of opportunity. And when you're underrepresented in a field, you have to work harder at building these weak ties because you're not a part of the club, right? Or people who gravitate toward each other because they share a lot in common. So you'll have to break through a lot more to build those networks. And that's what research shows. And then, so women have to work harder at building these networks. And because of stereotypes, these networks become ever more important because you need a lot more of people who vouch for you when you're faced with bias in your career. So thank you so much for sharing that very important lesson. Ria, what about you?
Sure. I think one of the primary lessons that I learned, again, from what I've been doing in my life, and also from senior mentors and colleagues, is I think it speaks very much to what we just talked about as well. But being able to channel your impact and your energy in a kind of domain or a space that gives you happiness. And I think that's a very interesting formulation that, it's very cool to come across, because it's not necessarily expecting something to come out of it right away, or, even longer term, but just something that is giving you joy, that is an activity that you will, scope out and participate in. And for me, that was, something like being able to just explore different domains. I would go a couple of years ago and just get involved in, Slack groups and Women Who Code related communities, and in challenges that were completely not my domain expertise, just because I enjoyed kind of those late night hackathons and then waking up in the morning and saying, hey, I got the badge or something like that. And that actually resulted for me in my strongest community of people and peers who are there for me when I need them, who are able to share additional information from all of these domains and put it together. So I definitely think there are definitely some cases when we do get criticism, and it can be challenging to invest your energy in being able to resolve those elements. So for me, I'm kind of learning as well, doing it in a systematic process is always really helpful. Being able to address one step at a time to be able to get to where you want to be, but doing it in a way that makes you happy is striking that right balance. And I think that's where, motivation, the fire for curiosity, I think that's kind of derived from that. And yeah, I think the second thing is really just putting yourself out there, which is, being fearless, being able to just get out there, doing what you're happy is going to give you confidence. It's going to give you radiance, and just harnessing that for getting further in your career is something I've learned is very, very valuable.
Thank you so much, Ria. I can't even begin to say how fearless you must have had to be at every turn, being the youngest to achieve so many breakthroughs, right? And being not only one of the few women at the table, but being the youngest as well, and being able to really trust in your value, your expertise, and what you have to contribute, and being fearless and showing up to do that. That's such a powerful, powerful lesson. And I love how you framed what brings you joy and happiness, and keeping those elements very, very clear in your life. Vanessa, what about you? What are some lessons learned for you?
Yeah, I'm so impressed by all of your things, and I think it just shows how much common denominators we all have, and that we should talk so much more openly, I think, about our challenges that we have. I will share, I think those are still challenges that I now identified, but I'm still working on. So I think it's a track that doesn't end, and I hope it's really a lifelong learning journey. So I think one thing that was really important for me, as kind of being a very young managing director in a field that's very male dominated, and then not having a technical background, is really not being too hard on myself. So seeing that I've earned to be here, I'm smart, I bring everything to the table I need. So I think speaking to myself on good terms and not being too hard to myself is like one of the most important lessons. And always having this imposter at the back of my mind. I know it won't go away, but at least treating it as a friend in a way, and seeing, oh, there it is again, this feeling of me feeling like I don't belong, and really moving through it and learning through it. I think also one thing that goes very closely with it, having the self-esteem to really showing boundaries, sticking up for yourself, and also sticking up for others, especially when you see discrimination in any way of line in our work. I think we really have to stick up for each other much more, and have this way of self-esteem, and really show where we have our boundaries. I think a couple of things where I've started with a very strong background is building up networks. Afi was saying it. I think I've always been a very strong networker. So from beginning on, I was not looking for like a red line in my CV, but more building up my own networks without the feeling of having vitamin B. I think that's also something that we have to learn often as women. I speak to a lot of women who tell me networks are like vitamin B, you get it from your family, but you can build up networks yourself, and networks are so important, be it communities like that where we discuss and share our fears and challenges. We all have the same ones, so we should really speak more openly about it. Also, that standard CVs bring standard offers, so not being afraid of doing things differently and following your curiosity on your way. I think that's also one thing that's really important, because we all stick out by being female in the tech field, so we can really live up to it and be the paradise bird in the whole environment and just do things differently. We don't have to like follow the male rule, I guess, in that way, but just live to the tech field like we want to embrace it and do things differently. Yeah.
Thank you so much for bringing me that. And we have some comments on the chat, definitely, about this experience of kind of sticking out, being hyper visible, and kind of the experience of being questioned. And you're saying kind of like, no, like center yourself on what you're contributing. And so your ability to kind of move through those moments. And you know, what research shows is often when you're very underrepresented, you're hyper visible, but you're also invisible at the same time. So it's a very interesting dynamic of being super scrutinized and representing your entire gender, and at the same time being questioned and undermined, and sometimes your ideas not being heard. So I really, really like your insights about kind of going back, first of all, talking to that imposter voice, and also going back to what you're really contributing to the space. I was saying on the chat, we need a book to capture all of these pearls of wisdom. I'm not signing up, Thomas, to write it, but it would be a great companion kind of piece about the successful women in AI. I really would be remiss if I didn't ask you all about the topic of the day, which is responsible AI and all the conversation that's going on around the future of AI and its societal impact. And so when I read the press, what I see is a very binary discourse of either it's a magical tool that will solve everything, or it will spell the death of humanity as we know it. And so I want to learn from each of you in your leadership, how do you kind of go beyond this either or binary framework, and how do you incorporate in your own work, kind of balancing out the positive aspects of AI and then mitigating any harm? And I'm going to go to you, Ria, first, because obviously this is your area of expertise. And also I saw that you have a video online that I'm dying to watch that says, the machines will not kill us. And it's like trying to reassuring, part of your job is to reassure the public and really bring these conversations to the forefront. It's not Terminator, Denise says. So go ahead, Ria. How do you inform this topic?
Definitely. Thank you, Caroline. And yeah, I think it's a hyped up title for the episode, but my gist of it is I've been working in this space for about 2 years now, but as I shared, over the past few years that I've gathered expertise, I got introduced to AI ethics from the responsible data science practices side. So when you're intimately familiar with what you can do at a lower level, just to be able to start to introduce reproducibility, to be able to better communicate your findings to people in the data science community, I think it just changes the perspective with which we see some of these concepts, because we see accumulation of these types of problems, sometimes at the lower level, but also at the societal component, which I'll get to in a moment. But at the technical level, we see the buildup and accumulation of these issues that is then leading to, a number of different issues related to, not being able to trust AI systems at all. So I think for me, the way that I'm seeing it, and I know AI ethics is typically described as a socio-technical, kind of domain where you have the societal aspect, you have power dynamics that are influencing the use of these systems, and then you have the technical part. And interestingly, what I've found as well, just looking at the domain, is that a lot of the public fears and the hype around this AI overlords and those types of things, they're grounded in very realistic concerns, removing a lot of the things that we are not thinking are capable of at the moment. So for example, AI overlords, that's really a problem boiling it down to oversight of the technologies. And I know it's a very popular question in the space to ask, okay, who is in control of these systems, but also in the AI ethics space, we're also really looking into who is impacted by these systems as well, and who has the ability to change that depending on whether or not they don't like the impact or something is occurring. So for me, just to tie it all together in a very quick summary, we do see the positive aspects of AI, again, as part of my work at Intel. I'm seeing different use cases that we enable, whether it's, helping with the retail pipelines, helping with education and healthcare, and being able to diagnose and figure out things that humans can't identify as quickly. But I also see that, from the different domains, there's the ability to make contributions that can help connect the overall picture together, not being able to deal with the huge societal issues that come with it, which is, I think, a group effort. But for example, from the technical side, how can we build mechanisms for human-centered AI, building blocks, starting from responsible data science practices? How do we help data scientists even understand what AI ethics is, building tools and guidelines, and understanding how far can we go with tools, and then how far do we need to go with what needs to be done with standards, with society, et cetera. So it's a big question, but what I'm trying to look at is, again, I think that systematic process of there are steps that we can take to this. And I'm optimistic. We have so many different wonderful experts that are talented, that are pushing back whenever they see barriers, that are so inspirational. I think we can solve this problem as a society.
Thank you so much, Ria. That's such an inspiring call to action. And also, when you think about human-centered, I also think about how do we make sure human-centered is not male-centered, white-centered, Euro-centered, centered on the people who are already having the most power in society. So incorporating in our definition of human all the diversity dimensions back. So thank you so much for that. Afi, what about you?
I could just add to the very amazing insights that Ria just shared regarding some of the ideas and actions that we are actually having in execution these days. First of all is making sure that within every team, within every company, there is a role really assigned to take care of athletes. And in that role and education, the awareness, and really investing time on keeping up education on what are the dimensions to take care of in every team, that role take care and take the lead into every product that would be released. And the topics of explainability is, of course, important. And for us at a Makerspace and Digital Project to School, I intentionally look for a person who has a passion for it and brought it into the team. And then the other thing that we are having in execution is that basically it's so much the future that this AI engineering and data science within a silo does not function. Within a silo is not good. It can be just Albert Einstein within a silo, but we just bring the new mindset to our AI engineers that they learn to function out of this silo. So what we are doing at Digital Project to School, the role of AI engineer is working hand in hand with the product manager who is taking care of the customer needs, the UX experience designer, the software engineer, and they are the team of multiple disciplines in a cross-functionality. They grew a different level of responsibility and awareness to the society and how we could serve real customers when they work across multiple disciplines together. And this is also, I see, very important for the future. And in particular, one thing that bothers me, sometimes I go to the conferences of ethics and I see still there is a gap, that there are certain groups with a background in law, certain backgrounds that are not really relevant to AI, and they are taking decisions, and sometimes they are having quite negative and quite unrealistic perspective to it. And then there are the team who are actually doing the work, building these natural language models, and they are not inside of the decision-making team, and therefore bridging the gap again out of the silos and building communication is certainly a call to action that brings us to a new level.
I love your insight of de-siloing, which is, it's going to be hard to do, and yet to do this well, we need to rethink all of these silos. I know on the Stanford campus now, we've changed how we train engineers to incorporate ethics, but it's taking a very multidisciplinary approach, right? So we need some faculty are philosophers, some are political scientists, some are computer scientists, some are data scientists, some are sociologists. So really thinking about bringing the different points of view that can help us unpack the complexity of this question. Vanessa.
Yeah, so what I have to do often in my daily life, Denise said here, this is not Terminator. That's where I usually have to start. So giving a lot of awareness and education to big corporates, politicians that watch sci-fi movies in their free time and then think that's what AI is, and read, of course, a lot about the threats and negative issues of AI in the news currently. So it's a lot about really raising awareness about what AI actually is and what it's not. So especially lots of news right now about AI becoming conscious. That's where our discussions usually start right now. So that's definitely a big issue. I think one of the big milestones that I see in Europe, at least with the AI Act right now, is the regulation that will be coming. I think it's really down to regulation also to provide more clarity for those developing AI, to give guidance in really showing how responsibility by design can look like, because a lot of AI developers are seeking this guidance, and I think regulation can provide clarity. Right now, what we're looking at when we're seeing the AI Act, it's not really that clear as we would wish it would be, but it can, I think, it can be a chance and can provide clarity to those developing AI.
Yeah, and the real challenge of developing policy, which takes incredible amounts of time, as I'm sure you're involved in, with the speed of innovation that's happening. So how do we build a world where policy isn't constantly trailing the innovative process? Thank you so much. Riham, you are at the center of the storm in the large language models innovation sphere. So what are your thoughts on this question?
So let me start by the more optimistic view of how I envision the world moving forward in the next 10 to 20 years, right? So there is an optimistic view still with AI, despite all the, like some of the negative views on that. So think of AI the same way we reflect on history in the Industrial Revolution. So during the Industrial Revolution, many things happened, including societal changes, right? Where people, we needed more skilled workers who can learn how to use the new tools, right? And those people, instead of like doing things by hand, and we get like so many manpower involved to just get a job done, I think we turned this into some machines that were very helping the human, right, do that. And that was a good forcing function to humans to elevate their education, their skills, and focus more on what matters, where their brains are needed, right? So with the same paradigm, if we reflect on AI moment at the moment, it's another point in history where I look at AI as like a path for an AI-assisted world. So I'm foreseeing the world as a set of bunch of tools that will assist the human have a better life, get more information, be more skilled. And that will be a good forcing function to elevate our education and our skills as humans to focus more on where humans are needed. right? But it's not a replacement to human. I cannot envision a world where AI can do what humans do, right? I know that emotions and that kind of thing is still something AI can tackle, but the human is way more complicated than any AI model that we can ever build, right? And if you look at those AI models, I mean, there's a limit to where they can go. We've envisioned where they can go, right, a while back. But as we develop these models and algorithms, I think there was never an intention to have them replace the human. We always needed the human. And there is so much information in the literature that shows that with more human involved in the AI cycle, human-centered AI, we get much better results, right? Results that map to our environments, our needs, our evolution, right, and so forth. So this is how I envision how the world would keep going with AI. But for this to happen, there are key things that we need to make progress on. Responsible AI, policies and regulations, both national and organizational, those are very key. And it's okay. I understand that we're not making the fast progress we're hoping. This is a changing moment. This is a moment in history. We cannot expect the coin to flip in a day and night, and we have all the policies in place. People are trained and have awareness. The debate will keep going for a while, and that's okay, right? But the good news is we're making progress, right? Even the European Act, I mean, despite that maybe Vanessa describes it as it's not as we hope, it's a very good step in the right direction, right? And setting the role model for Europe, like putting a lot of pressure on AI makers to keep responsible AI in mind and explain how we train the models and what went into the training mix and so forth is a great role model that everybody now has to follow, right? In big tech companies have to think about like how to sell in Europe, right? And because of that forcing function, even from a complete business standpoint, right? Like it is forcing people like us to think about how we can make these tools available for the crowd, for the public, and explain things. And I'm sure other continents and other countries and other organizations would follow. So it will take time, but we're making good progress.
Thank you so much, Riham, for that insight. In a globalized world, each country's active participation in this debate will help push all of us to make sure it's not a very narrow way of thinking about it. Thank you so much to all of you. I really wish I had 2 more hours listening to each of your insights. I'm going to turn it back to Thomas to close the session, and I share everybody's. If you want to put one word in chat, describing what you feel like after today's session. Mine is hopeful. So feel free to share a word in chat.
You see my video? All right, 3 more comments, but don't run away. First of all, I got a little creative with my breakfast. So Caroline, I had no idea. We all wish you happy birthday. Amazing that you showed up for the session today. So this is for you, but it's my breakfast afterwards, okay? So that's number 1. Maybe 3 comments. I like the comments of the engage with the right communities and nurture your network. I think that is actually something most people underestimate. If you want to get into something, you need to nurture your network. And there is a saying, right? It's not as important what you know, but it's important whom you know, right? Don't take it literally, but there is some truth in the sentence. The other one is, I like the fact that people said, be proactive and curious. But for the people who are exploring this new space, I keep saying this all over, follow your passion. If you're passionate about something, just go for it. And for me, there is a difference between these incredible women in these calls, the same as the last time. We have been in this already for a while. We have been here way before the whole world is talking about ChatGPT, right? All of a sudden, everybody seems to have an opinion about this one thing because it's hot. But it takes a vision and people like us years back to actually get this all going. So follow your passion, and sometimes timing is everything. Last but not least, in behalf of Transatlantic AI Exchange, please, everybody here, look on our website. We have some amazing events coming up with trusted AI, quantum computing, and Web3. And for the hackers on the call, okay, for the newcomers, we also are in the middle of hosting and planning a global hackathon. And it goes from May to August. This is not 72 hours and a pizza overnight. This is a whole fully fledged program between May and August. We have 500 people that signed up already, and we have over 50 mentors and judges. So this is a big, big deal. So with that, I know we are a little bit over time. Thank you very much to everybody on this call. Caroline, as always. And I tell you, I just enjoy listening to this whole thing. I just learn a lot. And I can promise you and everybody on the call, this is not going to be the last session on women in AI. I can promise you that. And if anybody has any interest to be a speaker or has a topic that we should cover, that's what this Transatlantic AI Exchange Network is for. Feel free to ping us and we will happily work together and work this all out. So with that, thank you very much. And I hope I will see you all very, very soon in another session. Thank you.
Thank you so much for doing this. All the best.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for
Bye-bye.
organizing. This was fun. Bye.